Rex. Rex kick ass. Wreck diving is the mother of all diving. Every shot's a photo op, everything's eerie as hell, they groan, they grunt, they reach out to you. Wrecks are the ultimate. If you've never been wreck diving and you ever have an opportunity, please do so. Of course, it takes a while to get certified to do it, but once you do, that's it. This is the Vandenberg. It's a military ship sunk off of Key West. Pretty neat boat. We went 6 floors into an elevator shaft, so imagine the sand on the Vandy is probably 160 feet. We went 6 floors in this elevator shaft, all the way to the bottom, penetrated. It was awesome, just awesome. Cavern, Paradise Springs right here. This is called Overhead, okay? This is where people die. This is close to where a diver died, where we captured, from what I understand, is the world's only underwater ghost picture. I'll show you guys later. We heard screaming, we captured stuff on some of our equipment, and then afterward, I looked down, strobed some shots in the blackness, and captured a diver's mask who wasn't there. Diver hovering in open water. I'll show you guys the picture. Really neat. What happened was, we were in a place where a diver shouldn't have been. He wasn't cave certified. He went down a large overhead cavern, like that picture I showed you before. Down, 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 down deep. And then he went a little tiny hole on the side, little tiny cave. And the cave goes winding way in. It's part of the aquifer system. It took him way in, and he maybe went from here to, where the balcony curves right there. But you go this way and that way, up and down and this and that. And what people don't realize is, when you first go in, and you're right here, and you say to yourself, well, I want to go in this little hole right here and go down to there. This is right there. But that oxygen on your back, let's say it's toxic at 136 feet, and you're at 130 right now. Well, you're not really thinking about that. You're like, I'm going to go swimming in there. Because what's the difference between here and there, right? Well, it takes you past that depth tolerance and you'll die. So, because your oxygen isn't set for that mix isn't set for that depth. So, he goes swimming in there, and he may have died from that. Or he may have gotten lost. They know he didn't hook a line up and run with a cord reel like we do. He didn't do that, so they found him dead. Well, now that he's dead, they pull his body out and they make a little grave marker. And we went down there one day to where he died with cord reels, and it was tragic and everything, and you feel a little narked, and you can feel the space closing in, and you can kind of feel what he felt. And then I started feeling this crazy anxiety, which a lot of other people did too. And then there were some weird feelings of like fight or flight. It was strange. And when we left, just about as we were coming up, someone started to scream below me. Now, the scream wasn't heard. The scream was not coming through anyone's comm system, because you can tell. No one was commed on scream. Nothing of that, everything was recorded. The scream was coming from below. I was the last man down the line. I was photographing the whole team. And the person in front of me went up this little line, the guideline that takes us back out of the cavern. And as that person is disappearing with the little silent flashing on the back, I had to follow, and I'm going up the line, and somebody's screaming to me from down there. So I'm like, what the heck? So I spin around, and I'm banging my tank, the horn of my tank against the top of the rocks and stuff, and I'm looking down, and I'm kind of fluttering, and somebody's down there, but I can't see them. And so I'm hitting the strobe. It's like strobe, 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 and there's nobody down there. You just see this cavern. And then I took a couple shots just in case. We went up top, and of course nobody was in the cavern because we were there doing operations all day, and somebody, of course, if they were down there, they'd have died. And there's that word again. And later on we got home, there was the diver's mask right on the picture. You could see the edge of his mask and everything. It was really cool. There was an apparition of a diver below me. Weird. In the Vandenberg, 6 floors in, bottom of the elevator shaft. That's Lewis. That's how we work. That's what we see. These are Blackwater ops. We set up all our stuff like that. Each diver follows the diver who looks like this. You just see their light. Half the time I don't even turn my light on. I just follow the person in front of me. You know, you got one light, you got enough. So this is what we see. This is a real live image of what it's like. This is the cavern entrance to where the guy died. This little rock overhang goes down to an incredible aquifer that goes for miles, but you'd never know it. More Ramiro. Fast forward here just a bit. Okay, big cavern, 40 fathom grotto. A lot of Indian stuff in the bottom, real deep training facility. This is a training dive, it's a trimix dive, 50-50, 100%, twins on air, you gotta know what you're breathing. This is the kind of stuff we train for. It's really, really exciting, and I love it. Really, really great. There's nowhere to go, you can't go up, there's a cave above you. You've got to do what you've got to do with your own stuff. Ramiro again. See the cavern ceiling? That's the ceiling I'm talking about bouncing into. Got to be careful you don't shear your first stage off. You got to be careful you don't break your mask or shear a hose, any of those things. It's really specified. You go in on these lines, you get to a place, you hang your equipment, you do your work, you get out before you what? Die. Okay. You're getting it. Rex, same thing. Same rules. Getting ready for some stuff. Cold water. Should see my hair after that. Wasn't good. Okie dokie. I'm going to move on here. Okay, maritime archaeology. Christ of the Abyss right here. Okay, maritime archaeology is fascinating. There's a lot of cool stuff to see. When I shot this shot, it was just epic. This is off Key Largo. And Solvay, when you take a checkout dive, this is where we're taking you. And it's fantastic. Just things down there you would not believe. They're important, they're artifacts, just like the history of a place. It's just like as if you came here and you dug up a floorboard and you pulled up, you know, somebody's skeleton. It's the same thing. We pull things up off the bottom that pertain to the history of the story, of the folklore. This is a shipwreck. It's overgrowing almost into a big coral mass. But we look in these rooms, we find neat things. This is a cave off South Florida, near the Tampa area. This was actually built by the Spanish. You know, the architecture was semi-modern. This is a fortification that they had. And, you know, we had the Huguenots and you had the Huguenots and the conquistadors, and it was, there was a lot of history there. And so they left a lot of these forts. They build a fort and then they get run out and they just leave it. And a lot of the maritime archaeology and the turf that we do has to do with these fortifications. You know, they're haunted just like any fortification. Old phosphate dock. This is, you know, these places are pretty much, you know, ground zero for Pirates of the Caribbean. A lot of the places we go, we're fortunate to live down there, fortunate to dive this stuff year round. It's really, really neat. I'm a big buff on this. I think I could just spend my whole life just photographing maritime archaeology. I just think it's fascinating. Fort Jefferson and the Dry Tortugas. Have you guys ever been to Tortugas? You've been in Jefferson?
I think so. We've been to a couple of those.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, Fort Jefferson, that's cool that you've been here. Fort Jefferson is haunted. We did an investigation of Fort Jefferson probably about seven years ago or so. This is where Dr. Mudd, the doctor who helped Abraham Lincoln's assassin mend his broken leg after the assassination attempt, he was put here in the prison. The prison was essentially, it was 50% prison, 50% fort, because there was nowhere to go, so they let everybody just walk around together. Because you couldn't get any farther than right here. Well, this place is fascinating. It's like you can almost hear the pirates. You hear voices, it's just alive. This is a pyramid-esque destination. You ever get a chance to go to Tortugas? This is the place to go. It's a fort like this on this little tiny postage stamp island in the middle of nowhere. And it's just epic. And they just let you loose on it. And it's got a coral reef around it. As you can see, this is all reef around here. And it's got an amazing amount of groupers and fish and all that stuff. And it's a gigantic Gigantic place. Shipwrecks. This is a haunted ship. It's called the Captain Dan. Captain Dan has voice phenomena. We heard voices just about when we were right here. A lot of this stuff's really overgrown, but it holds energy. A lot of our stuff we get on wrecks. You can see all the different doorways and different entrances, and you gotta be careful how far in you go. You know, there's rules to it. You can't just say, well, I'm gonna swim in here and swim out here and swim in here and swim out here, even though that's what you want to do. You've got to have a pre-dive plan. Otherwise, you're gonna get yourself into big trouble. There's a wheelhouse for a crane on an underwater military ship that we dove, which is haunted by 3 divers who died in a penetration dive who had no business being there. The place is eerie as hell. Now, see these orbs? They're not ghosts. It's clutter, okay? They're not ghosts. They're not ghosts ever. We shoot orbs all the time, okay? They're not, it's not pirate, Barnacle Bill looking at you. You get the same clutter underwater that you do on the surface, and it's just an orb. Super important. And you'll see the same smiling faces and the same reflections and trails and all that crap in underwater orbs, which is just silica in the water, and that's all it is. Spiegel Grove, haunted, very cool, penetration looking out. These pictures are great. I love taking pictures. This is what it looks like when you're down there, you just can't get enough of it. It's like, oh, there's a picture. Oh, there's a picture. Oh, there's a picture. This is great. We set up in the day, we set at night, you hit this pitch black, you need to know how to get out. This is really, really, it's got a mood and feel to it that's amazing. If you guys have never been in a wreck like this, I highly recommend it. Entrance and exits, everything's like this. This exit is where we heard a voice. Now, I think, well, I don't know what to think other than the fact that 3 guys died right near it. They died almost out of the wreck, but they ran out of air. So this is about where they died, this is about where we heard the voice. I don't know what to tell you other than both stories happened at the same place. Entrance from another way. It's compelling, isn't it? Let's go in, let's check it out, let's go down 2 or 3 floors. That's where the trouble starts. That's what the guys did. This is the last thing they saw on the surface. 3 guys went in, right into that slot. They went down 3 floors deep, and they went down the wrong hall. Didn't have enough air to get out, didn't think about it. I went to this boat with a guy. Actually, we had probably a dozen people. There were a couple sport divers with us. It was one of those kind of fun-to-the-sun adventures. I brought a guy down to this very spot. Even though if you're not divers, I'll tell you this. He has 3,000 cubic feet of air in his tank, or 3,000 pounds of air in his tank, rather, in his 80 cubic foot tank. So he's got 3,000 pounds. And we get down to there, and he's got 1,600. So now, what does that tell you? It tells you, well, A, he's used more than half his tank to get down there, right? But he's not thinking I just used half my tank to get down there. He's thinking the rule that we always state, which says, come up when you hit 1,000. Because you can make any ascent on 1,000, right? But he hasn't thought about the fact that to get to this particular point took him 1,650, and now he's only got 1,350 left in his tank. Okay? So, he goes and he decides to go inside. And just like the guys who died, I'd taken a look at his gauge. I did that, tap thing. Hey, show me your gauge. He shows me his gauge and it's 16. 16, not 1,000. I'm going in, that kind of thing. So we go swimming in. So I'm sitting there going, well, he used 16 and he's got 1,350 left and he's going to be 300 shy and he's going to be dead. So then I grabbed him and I yanked him out of the wreck and he didn't know what was happening. And when I pulled him out, I pointed straight up. Well, he was kind of combative and didn't want to come up and didn't want to swim around and this and that and all this crap. So I finally grabbed him and didn't give him a choice, and we float halfway up through the water column. Not here on the boat, where we came in and went all the way down, and then we'd have to go all the way back and come up where we came, right? Where our boat was. Well, now we're down here,